What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Wyoming professional surveyor video. I'm back in my home basement here working on my Wyoming PLS, and I thought I'd give you guys a quick update about what's happened since the last video. So from now, my understanding is that in order to get a Wyoming PLS, you need to first pass an ethics exam, which is about 60 questions. Most of them is multiple choice, and it's on the laws and the rules of Wyoming as well as some ethical questions. This did not take so long. I spent a couple of hours, maybe half a day off and on working on this, and it wasn't too difficult to do. They give you a reference sheet you can use to find the documents. So I spent, 4 hours compiling my statutes binder, probably another 3 or 4 hours answering all the questions, making sure they were right. And grammar drives me absolutely crazy. So I had a few grammar fixes I had to send the board. I feel like that's a benefit when the applicants tell you if there's possible mistakes. So the laws, the rules, the ethics was mainly multiple choice, a couple of short answers, not really a big deal. All right. So now you fast forward and you pass this exam, and then they give you a big take-home exam, which is kind of, I guess, the laws and the rules again, but it's got some surveying principles and a lot of Wyoming specific things, which are good. Now, as I said before, the first exam, they gave you a reference sheet. It was very helpful. The second exam, I felt like I was kind of feeling my way in the dark for certain things because the questions were somewhat open-ended, somewhat unclear. I felt like the large exam, from my experience, it felt like what I give students before their master's thesis or PhD dissertation, a big 24-page, big spaghetti soup. It's lots of open-ended questions, lots of water rights, lots of boundary, lots of Wyoming specific stuff. So I can't tell you exactly what's on the exam because, that wouldn't be very fair to anybody. But I can tell you that I probably spent a couple of weeks working on this, an hour here, 30 minutes there as I had time. And it was quite an exam. So it took 24 pages to write all the answers for this. And it was long format, paragraph style answers. So all I can tell you is getting licensed in Wyoming is not as easy as Kentucky. You fill out a form, pay some money. And it's definitely not as easy as the Florida exam or Alabama, which I've taken before. Not as difficult as California for sure. But, the California exam had a lot of very specific things. There is a black and a white answer on Subdivision Map Act. There's a black and a white answer on the FGDC control levels, 1, 2, 3, first order, second order, whatever. But on the other hand, I felt like I was kind of guessing on some of the Wyoming questions because I was not really sure what the exam was asking me. So with that said, I'm going to hit the submit button, cross my fingers here, and see what happens. The last thing I'll tell you is I do not think that there's any in-person exam required for Wyoming. Now, I think the Wyoming board website could be more clear on what it takes to get a Wyoming PLS by Comity. But from my understanding now, there's an ethics and laws, which I completed. That's the multiple choice. And then there's this big hairy exam, which is a take-home. And from my understanding, once you pass the second take-home, then you're good to go. So it's been a couple of months since I passed my ethics because, I passed the ethics. They said you've passed it and your application is being processed. Well, I took that to mean that my professional land surveyor license is being processed and we're done. So I waited, 30 days, 45 days, emailed in and said, hey, what's up? Oh, well, you need to take the take-home exam. And that's the 24-page monster. So my only criticism to Wyoming so far is that the process is not very well explained on the board website. But otherwise, it's been a good experience. The exam was a monster. It was like I was back in grad school again. But, I hope to learn a lot about Wyoming state-specific practices from this big, hairy exam. And I look forward to the results coming up sometime in the next few weeks or then some. Stay tuned.